I'm from LA, but I didn't grow up around celebrities, that kind of like lifestyle. I feel like I had a normal childhood and upbringing.
Was that easy for you to experiment with something different? And what actually inspired you to do that?
I got the events probably where I was on average doing like 500 to 1,000 capacity events. And then like right when I turned 21, I started getting hired by all the big celebrity like 21 plus nightclubs. And I wasn't making that much money at the time. Like I was a tennis coach, and so that's how I was like paying for all of this. And so
it's like we have a lot of thoughts in our mind and vision in our mind that, okay, I would like to do this, or dreams and goals and stuff. But then life has sometimes different things in store for us, isn't it? Why did you leave that world?
it is exhausting, the nightlife stuff. So it was something that really made sense. Do a lot of political events in LA for Democratic Party clubs and organizations. I'm always trying to think of a way to expand what I'm doing or improve or add more value.
Big dreams don't come quietly. They demand risk, they demand fire, they demand crazy transformation. Welcome to The Corporate Life, hosted by Hina Siddiqui, CEO and founder of Corporate Influence Media and creator of the Let's Make You Famous 90-Day Celebrity Campaign and media strategist featured across 600 plus global outlets. Join us as we sit with million-dollar entrepreneurs, tech CEOs, and celebrities who share the scenes that shape them. Here, success isn't a headline. It's a human story. The turning points, reinventions, failures, breakthroughs, and bold decisions behind their rise. Because your life is a movie too, and you're the star of yours.
Connor, who were you before politics, Grammys, and nightclubs?
Um, a normal person, like super, super normal. I feel like I grew up, like had a really normal childhood. I still feel that way, by the way. Yeah, that's like, I guess at the core of it.
Okay, so you were raised in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I grew up near the beach, like in Venice. But like I always tell people, like I'm from LA, but I didn't like grow up around like celebrities or like that kind of like lifestyle. I feel like I had a super like normal childhood and upbringing. So even though I'm like from LA, I'm not like from like that type of LA, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what got you into nightlife, like nightclubs and that night life
Yeah.
world?
Towards the end of high school, I started kind of just doing my own like parties and events. And then like when I started college, it just started like ramping up pretty quickly. And yeah, it just kind of started from me like having the idea to like start putting together events and parties and stuff like that. And then it kind of like morphed into something completely different. So I didn't really like have a grand plan or idea. And even in high school, I never really intended on it happening in like ninth, 10th, or 11th grade. So it was kind of just like random.
So were you a party person in your early age, like teens or just in college days?
Yeah, I like, so I don't know if you know this, but I got sober when I was 19. So I stopped drinking like right after I turned 19. So like in high school, I was more just like a partier, but like I wasn't like doing an event. And then towards the end, that's when it kind of switched where I think for the first couple events I was still drinking and stuff, but then like right, yeah, like I literally I got sober like in January of 2012, and my birthday was in November. So like right after I turned 19, I got sober, and then kind of like the events and the parties like became like my new addiction, if that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, like I definitely like liked going to events and parties and stuff like that, but I wasn't like a partier like per se. So like most like I've never even drank legally like in a nightclub. I was doing events in nightclubs when I was like 19, where I was so young, I wasn't even old enough to like drink yet, because the drinking
Yeah.
here's 21. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I liked partying, but I wasn't like technically a partier, if that answers your question.
Yeah. So your life looks like a movie story because you started with that party thing and you
Yeah.
got into the nightclub stuff, right? And then you experimented with different stuff in your life.
Right.
So would you like to talk a bit about that? And was that easy for you to experiment with something different? And what actually inspired you to do that, or just forced you to do something else that you were not doing before?
Yeah, I think like um I at least had the feeling growing up or like in high school where like I never really like had like my thing. I feel like everyone else like had their thing that they were like good at or they liked. And like I just didn't have like my thing. Like I was playing competitive tennis the whole time, but I didn't really like love it. And so I feel like when I started doing the events, that's what I really like loved to do, and I feel like I was good at it, and it like kept increasing and improving like quickly. And so um I was just kind of happy that I found that. And then yeah, the first like big hit that I had was when I was 19. I did like the Project X party, and it got on the news and on a
Yeah.
bunch of outlets and stuff like that. And it was like my first time having something that went viral. And so it kind of
Mhm.
like, you know, taught me like how kind of the industry works, and then also gave me a feeling of like, okay, like this is like my first like feeling of like a hit or like momentum. But I even knew then, I was like, if I don't keep this going, like it'll slow down and die out. And so I actually kind of like felt more pressure in a sense to like keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of like,
Was it scary or more of exciting?
it was both. It was both. You know, obviously like it was such a big thing like media wise, and just with all the people and whatever there, that yeah, I was definitely like nervous about it. um but I feel like also I was excited in the sense that it got my name out like a lot, and then
Mm.
it kind of like put a fire under me to like try to like then take it to the next level. Because then right after that, that's when I started like kind of going on Google and like booking like artists, like real artists, and like putting my own money up and renting out like venues and selling tickets on Facebook and stuff like that. So it was like a big like step for me, but then also like a transition moment at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you transitioned into after that, after the night clubs and all that. So what was the next step?
So basically, like the way it went was I did the big mansion party. It got on the news. A lot of people knew about him. Then I basically started going on Google and renting out like 18 plus nightclubs, selling tickets, and then booking artists. So like I was booking like pretty big artists. Like I booked like this rapper named YG. He was pretty big. He is big now too. But at the time it was like super new and hot, and I was doing stuff like that. And then I got the events probably where I was on average doing like 500 to 1,000 capacity events. Um,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then like right when I turned 21, I started getting hired by all the big like celebrity like 21 plus nightclubs, and I kind of became like the young like promoter that would bring out a lot of the young like celebrities and stuff like that. And that's kind of like when it switched from me putting up my own money and doing these big shows to then getting paid fees to work at these big like exclusive clubs to bring like exclusive people, if that makes sense. And that's kind of the transition that happened from that.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you know any failures? Like, did you meet any failures along the way, or anything that happened, which was no, you were not expecting it to be, but then it just happened, and a breakdown moment,
A ton.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, a ton. I
Okay.
almost I almost quit. I even made a post on Facebook one time that I was quitting. The problem that I ran into after the Project X event was I had to put my own money up for a lot of these events. And so some of them would hit and some of them wouldn't. And even they were always for the most part like packed and good, but I was so young that my crowd was also young in the sense that like we weren't spending a bunch of money on drinks. So the way that it at least worked back then was I had to pay a fee for the venue, and then I also had a bar minimum that I had to hit. And so a lot of my friends weren't even old enough to drink because I wasn't even old enough to drink. They were like 18 plus, so I would sell these tickets and get all these people to come, but then I wouldn't hit my bar minimum. And so like the first like honestly, it was kind of a catastrophe. It felt like a catastrophe for me at the time. Was after Project X. I thought I was it. I thought like I was, I thought I could do anything. And so I
Yeah.
basically booked like 5 weeks in a row back to back at this club. And I had booked an artist for each one. And I had and I wasn't making that much money at the time. Like I was a tennis coach. And so that's how I was like paying for all of this. And so by the end of it, I ended up doing all the events, but I ended up like owing my neighbor like 5K or $7,500 or something like that because I had lost so much money over the span of those weeks doing the events. And like at the time I was like 19, so I was like a lot of money back then for me, that.
Yeah.
So I thought I was done. I went from basically having like this huge viral party to them thinking I could do whatever I wanted and committing to all these weeks and artists and then just owing people money. And I ended up paying everyone back, but that was like the first time where I thought I was done, or like I was like I can't do this. And that was the big hurdle for me then, was figuring out how to make money from it, because even after that it was like I could do one big event a month. Sometimes they would make money, sometimes they wouldn't. It wasn't really until I started doing the 21 plus like nightclub stuff where they were paying me a fee each time, where I was like making consistent money from it. So it was like really like 2 years or so of like inconsistent money and losing money and making some money, and until it finally started to work out. So there was definitely failures and times I'm
It's a roller coaster kind of.
huge roller coaster. It was
Yeah.
for volatile, and
Yeah.
it was just super volatile, and it's just hard mentally to deal with it, especially like there's no like end road, or I didn't even know where it was going to lead, so I just kind of kept putting money into this thing that kept losing money, but I for some reason felt like I was onto something, and so that's kind of like what was going on at the time.
Yeah, yeah. It happens like when you have achieved a big success
Yeah.
just suddenly, and then you are not sure, because then that is the moment when you think that, okay, now I can own the whole world. I mean, you make a lot of money and all that. Like you have that kind of, feel thought in your mind. But then when it comes to like roller coaster kind of thing, okay, it's fluctuating. The income is not very stable or consistent.
Yeah.
It actually breaks something within you, isn't it?
It was a great lesson where like just because one thing works doesn't mean that I have like the Midas touch and I can do everything out. You know what I mean? So I think for me, like it was more just like, even if I had a hit, it's like kind of pace it, and also understand that, if you're going to start something new or a new kind of a business, it may take a couple of years for it to figure out a way to like make money from it. But I always felt like I had momentum with it and I was on to something. But, sometimes it's okay if you're losing money doing one particular venture, if you kind of know the direction and you have something else that's funding it. And that's kind of like some of the lessons I learned from it at the time.
Yeah, yeah. So why did you leave that world, like nightclubs?
I didn't really like leave it necessarily. Basically I did the big party that went viral. I was doing my own events. I then got hired at like One Oak, was really like the main club that I like blew up at. And I think there's a One Oak in Dubai, by the way. But I was doing I was doing the One Oak. I was doing the One Oak in LA, and basically I became the young promoter that would bring out all the celebrities, basically like anyone the name of during that time period. I probably brought them out. And I was doing that for a few years, and then I got hired at a record label, like a Universal Music Group. I got hired there when I was like 24. And I actually was doing both at the same time. So I was working at Universal and also doing the club promoting. And I was in the club promoting up until like end of 2019. And then that's when COVID hit, so it stopped. And then I ended up opening a nightclub in 2021, and I had that from 2021 to 2024, and that was called Off Sunset. And so I've really only been out of the nightlife game for like a year and a half. That being said, um, I would probably only go back if it was something that really made sense. But because it is exhausting, the nightlife stuff. So, but yeah, I never really like left it. It more became something where it just wasn't my full identity, and I had other sources of income or other industries I was in, but it kind of was always like the anchor that people kind of knew me for or whatever. So I never really like fully turned my back on it. It's just, I feel like more like I'm like an actor now, and I would only do like a good movie. Like if it came about, I wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't do a shit movie, just, you know what I mean? So it would have to be something that like really made sense.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is your greatest fear? What's your biggest fear?
Well, I think my biggest fear, like for a long time, was like losing it all, because
Mm-hmm.
I'd like built everything up from scratch. And so I just knew how volatile the whole thing, and it's like when you like just build it up from literally the ground, it's just like nerve-wracking, like losing it all. I feel like, knock on wood, like now I'm kind of at a point where I feel like there's a solid foundation and it's like a lot more steady. But I think my biggest fear then was like losing it all, or like becoming irrelevant. Yeah, or becoming irrelevant, or losing my momentum or whatever. You know what I mean? It's the entertainment industry's tough. Like I'm sure it's like other businesses too, but you have to keep making hits. Like people don't care that you had something that went viral 3 years ago. They want to know, what'd you do this year that went viral? You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah, the people have a lot of expectations out of you, and then you would like to keep up with that, right? You don't want to disappoint people because you have created that reputation so far.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's more like you got to keep making hits, otherwise the crowd will forget about you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest fear, probably.
So, do you have a fear of judgment?
Judgment, like in what sense? Like if people like me, or if
Like people will judge you. People might judge you for doing things because you are already known in your industry. So maybe you want to be careful about doing certain things or not doing certain things so that people don't judge you or you don't care.
I try my best to make sure to have the reputation where if people hear that my name, or if I'm doing something, they're like, oh, that'll probably be good, or that's legit, as well as, oh, Connor's like a cool, chill guy. He's legit. He's solid. He's easy to work with. I always try to have that reputation. That being said, I'm also not afraid to risk my reputation when starting a new venture,
Yeah.
because it's so out of my control. Like I could do something that completely hits next, or I could do something that completely flops, and you just got to jump in the pool. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah. So I'm not afraid in that sense to fall flat on my face and have everyone be like, "Oh, Connor's a failure." Because I know by now I've had enough hits and enough failures. Like I just know how it goes. And so, usually every couple of years I have something new that brings me back up. So I'm not like afraid in that sense to put myself out there. But I also try to like be super cool and friendly with everyone, because you also don't know like where those relationships lead. A lot of the times, like where I've gotten brought in on stuff, it's because someone thought of me and they liked working with me, and I got brought in, and that ended up being a hit, So that's kind of like my attitude on the whole situation.
That's interesting. So now you like organize political events.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. So I do I do a lot of political events in LA for Democratic Party clubs and organizations. Um, I did I did the after party for the California Democratic Convention in May. And I've done a couple other big ones. So like usually what I'll do for them is like I'll find the venue, book it out, I'll DJ it. I'll help with like some of the guest lists and putting the whole thing together. And yeah, I do stuff like that.
Yeah. So, what I see this like as you come from that glamorous industry, which is all like, glamour and nightlife and celebrities and all that stuff. And then the other end of the spectrum, which is like civic life, like political events. So this is totally contrast, right?
Yeah.
So what made you do that experiment? Because either like you are coming from a very interesting thing, which people, according to the people, and then going towards something which is not, which is quite unsexy or non-glamorous.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
I think there's like a couple parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think like part of me reached like certain levels like in hospitality and then also in music at a young age where I started kind of like asking myself like is there more, or like what else can I do that's like more important than this, or not that stuff's not important, but I feel like I don't know, I just kind of wanted to try something else, and I felt like with the political events, like there's a lot of like great causes out there and people that need help, and you know, I help by doing what I know how to do, is do the events and stuff for them. So I save the money with getting like better deals on venues and stuff like that, and I DJ it for free, and I do certain things like that. And then also like you meet a lot of great people. There's a lot of great connections, and I feel like that world is a lot more like durable. I think that that world, that crowd, it's a lot more like steady. I feel like in the nightlife world, there could be someone that gets famous for doing something, and then in 2 years, like they're not anymore. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I wanted to kind of like diversify my network a bit too and stuff like that, and lean into maybe like an older crowd too. Yeah, I'm 33, so I'm not going to be like the cool young kid forever.
Yeah.
So there was like multiple parts to it. But, it really came down to just wanting to like do something more. I think that was like
all right.
Yeah.
That's exciting and that's interesting too. And I like the approach that you take. It's like not get stuck in the same stuff because it's maybe monotony is not for you. So you just keep on experimenting with stuff.
I'm always trying to think of a way to expand what I'm doing or improve or add more value. I even, when I was like probably like at my peak as a promoter, like in 2016, I was like thinking about what I could do next to break it even more. And I thought I was going to become like an actor. I was doing like acting lessons and all this other stuff. And that ended up flopping, but then I ended up getting hired at Universal Music Group in music. And then that ended up you know what I mean? So, sometimes, you think it's going to go one way, it goes another way, but it ended up still helping me get to the next level. Yeah. So, but I'm always thinking about ways to expand like what I'm doing.
That's interesting because all it matters about, I think it's all about the vision that matters, and life will surprise us in different ways. We end up doing things that we never had thought that okay, we will do it.
Right.
For example, when I came to Dubai, I kept on saying when I was in India that I would never go to Dubai because I don't like that artificial life.
Yeah.
I don't like just being in the air conditioned environment all the time. But then, and life just surprised me. And now when I live here, I love this. So it's like, I say that like we have a lot of thoughts in our mind and vision in our mind that, okay, I would like to do this, or dreams and goals and stuff. But then life has sometimes different things in store for us, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Like I try to
Yeah,
not make sense of it. I try to just like work as hard as I can and put myself in position and kind of see like where life takes me. That's why I always like hate when I like do interviews and then people are like, "Oh, like what do you think's going to happen next?" It's like, "Well, I could tell you what I think is going to happen, but it'll probably end up being like the
yeah,
opposite." You know what I mean? So you just kind of got to
yeah, yeah,
roll with the wind or whatever the saying is, you know?
yeah. So what are you up to next? Like, how do you see yourself in the next 5 years or so?
Yeah, so I'm finishing my MBA right now at USC, so I finished that like in April. So I'll be done with that. I think the political like stuff and events is gonna start ramping up and get bigger this year because it's like an election cycle year, and then I kind of did a lot of the legwork last year with it. So I think that I'll start doing like bigger events. I think the biggest ones I've done so far have been like around like 500 people. And so maybe in the future it'll be like the bigger crowds and stuff like that. Um
Yeah,
and
maybe for Trump someday.
yeah, like say any and yeah. Well, yeah, the opposite side of Trump because I do the Democratic events, but so
Oh, okay.
yeah, but someone like on the opposite. Yeah, but I've been to some big ones for like Bernie Sanders and AOC, and those were like 30 or 40,000 people or something like that. So maybe I DJ something that big. But I don't know. We'll see. But then on top of that, you know, I work in music still. I manage a bunch of DJs. I have a company for that. So we're doing some cool stuff there. And then who knows, maybe like a hospitality project comes around. Maybe there's a big hotel group and they want a face
Mhm.
person in LA. So keeping my options open, but mainly just I'm gonna figure that out like in 4 months when I finish the MBA because that's what I've kind of been doing
Mhm.
the past like year and a half.
Yeah, I like the diversity that I mean you have given space to in your life.
Yeah,
You are doing different things and you are expanding yourself in different directions. This is very interesting.
yeah. But the school stuff was important. I feel like I needed the structure, and I'd originally dropped out of school, so I felt like it was important to like go back and get all the proper credentials so that I wouldn't hit like a ceiling later on in like my business career, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. So, Connor, now I would like to play a game with you, this or that. This is my favorite game, and I play this. I like to play this with my family and friends.
Yeah.
And now, like we have introduced it on the show. So, just the first instinct, you don't really need to think it through.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
Get ready for the ultimate challenge, this or that. Choose fast, trust your instincts, and let's go.
Being needed or being respected.
Being respected.
Building the room or owning the room.
Building the room.
Chaos or control.
Control now, but I liked the chaos before.
Power or service.
Service.
Starting early or starting over.
Starting early.
Being the smartest in the room or learning something new.
Learning something new.
Control or surrender.
Surrender, because you get control out of surrendering.
Influence or anonymity.
Anonymity.
Calculated risk or blind leap.
It used to be blind leap, but now it's calculated risk because of the MBA at USC. That's what's changed. Calculated risk now.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it used to be
Interesting.
blind.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. Okay, so you played well. I love to play this game, and this helps us understand you better, right? This is
Right.
like the way you choose the options. So it's interesting. So in on our show, like we believe that every life is a movie, and you are the star of yours.
Right.
So if your life is a movie, what is the title of your movie?
it would probably be like, can't believe this actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, can't believe it. Like, yeah, that's probably the title of the movie.
Yeah. So I think that that movie can be made. Like, of course, your life is a movie already,
Yeah.
without like not on screen yet. However, it could be on screen someday, and it could be the title that you want it to be.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would say that the odds were definitely not in my favor in the beginning of it turning out this way. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Yeah. 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 So, what are you most grateful for in your life?
I feel like right now I'm more at a point where I don't feel like I like made it past the finish line, but I feel like I like have done enough now where my life is like steady and like quasi normal, and I'm like really grateful for that. And I'm kind of like making a effort now to like reconnect with like family and close people from the past, because I like just had like blinders on for like a whole decade where I just wasn't really like doing all that. And so I feel like right now is like more of a time of like breathing in the air and like being like grateful that like my whole career didn't like crash and burn, or I like somehow made it through, and
Hmm.
rekindling with the people that matter most. That's probably like more, yeah, I think I'm in like a state of like gratitude. I feel like that's where I'm at
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, if you would like to leave the world with one message, what would that be?
I think you got to go for it. You know, you gotta go for it. I think you won't regret it. Even though life may take you in a different direction or this or that, you gotta go for it. And it'll be scary. It will be scary.
Yeah, it will be scary,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. Connor, how can people connect with you or know more about you?
You can just go on my website, connortracy.com, and then all my like social media handles are just at the Connor Treacy. So that's probably the easiest way.
Thank you for your time, and I really thoroughly enjoyed talking to you today.
Same. This is amazing. I really appreciate it.
This is The Corporate Life. More stories, more insight, more truth. Until the next episode, stay curious. Don't forget to subscribe.